Hello, everyone. My name is Amrita Aurora, and welcome to my talk on brushstrokes to binary, exploring the intersection of artistry and software engineering with an emphasis on leadership. In this talk, I will talk about my journey as a senior software engineer during the week and an artist during the weekends, and the intriguing intersection between the two, keeping diversity and inclusion in leadership as the main focus. Before we begin, I just want all of you who are watching to maybe take a minute or two, relax and take a break from your hectic day, and maybe ask yourself this question: what would you do if you weren't afraid? Now, there's no need to answer it out loud. You can just keep the answer to yourself and keep it in your mind, and we'll come back to this at the end. With that, let's begin with introductions. My tech career first started when I came to the US to pursue my master's at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. After completing my master's there in electrical and computer engineering, I then got my first job at Oracle in the Bay Area as a software engineer. I was there for 2 years, after which I transitioned to Facebook at that time and now Meta, where I was working as an engineer in the fintech space. And currently, I am at WhatsApp building amazing products here. As a way of introductions, I'm also a huge advocate for women in technology. I have been the 2025 Leaders of Impact honoree and also have been a speaker and panelist for various women in tech events such as the Women Tech Network and Global Women in Tech. I'm also a senior IEEE member and an active woman in IEEE volunteer, where I have been a session chair for women in IEEE conferences and a judge for various speaking events. I'm also the founder of various mentoring initiatives here at Meta. Since I'm also an artist on the weekends, let me introduce my art journey to you as well. So my art journey kind of began with my grandfather, actually. So my grandfather was a lawyer by profession, but he was also an artist. And many of the folks that would come home, who were his clients, basically would see his paintings and ask if they could purchase them, although they had come there for um, the primary job of him being the lawyer. And he was kind of the one who ignited this fire of learning art in me. So I started drawing and painting at a very early age, and it was kind of a way of bonding. And I pursued it a bit more, having completed some art exams in India. However, eventually I had to kind of hold the hobby back to pursue my master's. If you're interested, you can have a look at the various art that I do at Amora Arts. Um, After my 9 to 5 job in the tech world, I kind of got back into painting as a way to reduce the overall stress. And my art journey took off as a painter as well. And currently, I have my art that's published in various magazines. I've also been invited as a speaker for Creator Nights. I have my art displayed in around 20 plus coffee shops in the Bay Area. So if you're ever around Phil's Coffee in the Bay Area, do check out my paintings there. I've also been selected as an artist for the San Francisco General Hospital Heart exhibition, which is soon to be out now. So, um, since I am in the tech as well as the art world, I highly resonate with both of them. And you will as well once you start noticing these similarities between the two. So I like to call them the three I's and the three C's. The three I's stand for imagination, indefatigability, and innovation. So for any project, whether it is art or it is tech, you need imagination to come up with an idea. Indefatigability is basically grit to pursue through the failures. And innovation is needed because whatever you're building needs to stand out as unique. The three C's include collaboration, critical thinking, and continuous learning. So, art as well as tech, both of them cannot be a solo show. It requires a dedicated team kind of to deliver a top-notch product. Collaboration is needed with like cross-functional teams. You work with non-tech, legal, compliance, marketing for any launch of a product. In art as well, you need to collaborate with art galleries, cafes, suppliers. For critical thinking, it's extremely crucial in navigating through any uncertainty and figuring out the most optimized technique out. Only when you have these like problem solving skills and they are at play, that's when the real challenge begins. And in tech or in art, a change is kind of the only constant, right? So let's say in the tech world, whether it's cloud computing or the recent hot topic of AI, tech is always like ever evolving and it requires continuous learning to kind of keep up with these demands. And the same is true in the art world as well. There are so many art forms that artists use these days, even for like one painting. And I've tried to keep up in both the worlds. Like for example, in the art world, I have learned knife painting, I have learned coffee painting, I have learned glass art, Zentangle, and more recently I started delving with alcohol inks, which doesn't even require an actual paintbrush. I actually paint now with alcohol inks and a hair dryer, which kind of give me this ripple effect, and beautiful floral forms are created with it. So I think there's really no end to learning, and the joy definitely lies in the process rather than the final result. And this applies to both tech as well as art. Similar to the similarities, the challenges in art and tech are also quite intriguing, actually. Like in any job, there are limited access to both opportunities and resources, and the competition is high. Even for an offer, there will be like billions seeking the same. The stereotypical assumptions hold true in both worlds. And there's also biases and preconceived notions which manifest in various ways, especially during interactions. The gender gap is unfortunately very real, and there is a lack of representation in many groups, especially for women and minorities in tech. So, what is diversity and inclusion in any workspace, like whether it is art or whether it's tech? According to the Oxford Dictionary, diversity is defined as the practice or the quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and of different genders, sexual orientations, etc. Inclusion is the fact of including something or someone or being included. The fact or policy of providing equal opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise not get them. For example, people who belong to minority groups. The question then comes that why is diversity important? So imagine you have a big box of crayons, right? Every crayon is of a different color. Well, in the world of technology, having lots of different people working together is like having lots of different colors in your crayon box. And when we have people from different backgrounds with different ideas that are working together, it's like using all the colors in your crayon box to make a beautiful picture. Each person brings its own unique ideas and talents based on their experiences, just like every crayon brings their own unique color to the picture. So, diversity in tech is important because it kind of helps us create a better and more amazing product by bringing together these different colors and ideas that kind of make the world more colorful. Why is inclusion important? So imagine your childhood. When you were a toddler, you played with your favorite toys, but you would have even more fun when your friends joined in and all of you played together. Well, in the world of technology, inclusion is like inviting all your friends to play with you. When we have included everyone and we make sure that nobody's left out, it's kind of like having a big party where everyone gets to join in on the fun. Including everyone makes creations even better. So, inclusion in tech is important because it helps us make sure that everyone feels welcome and gets to be part of making innovative things together. So, how do you kind of foster diversity and inclusion in tech? The first step to foster the gap is kind of recognizing the gap. You cannot solve a problem unless you see it as a problem. Especially in leadership, once this gap is recognized, you need to take actionable steps in the direction to rectify this issue. Some of which includes hiring diverse talents that adds to the organizational value and helps them with a new perspective approach to the existing constraints. It's equally important to retain the diverse talent through the company. And some of these include creating programs and educational series to address these unconscious biases. So unless we know the barriers in parts, it's not possible to address them. Hence, having good mentors and sponsors in the programs is vital. So mentors are the one that kind of shine a spotlight on your blind side. They provide valuable insights, they provide guidance based on their own experiences. And it not only helps in skill development, but it also kind of provides a emotional backbone. It's like having a coach that is continuously guiding you, especially when, let's say, you're running a marathon. Similarly, sponsor is someone who fights for you in a room when you aren't really present in the room. And it's crucial for a leader to fight for these programs for the overall success of the organization. It's also important to build network affinity groups to support the minority groups. And lastly, people will open up and feel safe in a workplace only when they have these essentials to create an inclusive work environment where diverse ideas are respected, they are supported and encouraged. So how do you foster diversity and inclusion, especially in leadership? When we kind of encourage diverse representations, let's say on interview panels or committees, we ensure that these diverse perspectives are considered in the decision making process. You create a council that kind of monitors this gap, actively works on bridging the gap, and takes initiative in creating new programs that address these issues and resolves them. Being extremely transparent and accountable in the process. Be an ally. Encourage other leaders to demonstrate inclusive leadership behaviors such as active listening, empathy, respect, and openness to these diverse perspectives. Model inclusive behaviors in a team interactions and communication with employees. Also, having a metrics driven approach to track the progress towards the diversity and inclusion gap is very important in the goals. Using this data, especially for the number of women in leadership roles, can help identify these gaps and develop strategies around its promotion. How women leaders differ and lead. So there is proof of how diversity and inclusion in companies where female CEOs have changed the trajectory of the company itself. S- the first thing is empathy. Empathy is one of the major factors that most women leaders possess. They embrace ambiguity in, especially in an environment of chaos. They are kind of the ladder that's needed there. They are adept and they manage conflicts and help in resolving them in a more amicable fashion. They also build relations that kind of last a lifetime. And given the responsibilities at home and work, they are huge advocates of work life balance. Leadership is hard to define, and good leadership even harder. But if you can get people to follow you to the ends of the earth, you are a great leader. A quote by Indra Nooyi, a former CEO of Pepsi. So, key takeaways are the similarities and challenges that we spoke about art and tech, initiatives to bridge the diversity gap in both art and tech, the importance of diversity and inclusion in driving innovation and positive changes, and the impact as leaders on diversity and inclusion. So, pondering back to the first slide, let's ask the question again. What would you do if you weren't afraid? The answer that you had at the start, this is a call to action to take one small, tiny baby step towards it. Quote by Tiffany Dufu says, if you want something you never had it before, you're going to have to do something you've never done before in order to get it. So, this is your turn to take one small, tiny baby step towards your voice being heard. I hope you like this presentation, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. Again, my name is Amrita Aurora, and thank you so much for being here. A huge thank you to this conference as well for giving me this opportunity to present this topic towards you, and hope you have a wonderful time at Wonder Woman Tech. Thank you so much again.